Way for me, always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rinse due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So it's work.
What is going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday night to you and yours. Welcome to the All About the Birds weekly report, the flagship show on the All About the Birds network. We have an absolutely fantastic guest here with us tonight. So we're going to get into all of our wonderful sponsors later on, but I can't contain myself. I have so many things that I want to ask. I know Jeff and Johnny have questions to ask you, but first off, I want to welcome to the show our very special guest tonight from Sports Illustrated, from Eagles Maven, from the Eagles Unfiltered podcast, Conor Myles. Conor, thank you for joining us tonight, man. What's going on?
Yo, that intro was sick. Yeah, whoever made that, y'all are going to give him a raise because that intro was
Johnny.
Johnny, that was good, man. That intro was sick. I was just sitting there like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, Johnny's our video guy. So if you ever need an intro for your guys' podcast, if you got anything like that, hit him up. He'll definitely hit you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta do that for sure. That was
it's just sick. It gets you so hyped up.
It does get you hyped. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped.
I'm gonna do a show.
Now.
Let's do it. Let's do a show.
I'm ready to do this show. Thanks for having me on, guys. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that was sick.
No problem. Thank you for coming on, Conor. And look, we're gonna dive right into it because we know your time's limited. But look, we're only 2 weeks away to the start of training camp, and of course, going into this season, all eyes are gonna be on quarterback Jalen Hurts. You wrote an article back in March for Sports Eagles Maven on Sports Illustrated, saying that you believe that the Eagles definitely need to give Jalen Hurts a chance to prove himself, to be the starter and to be the franchise quarterback. And you went into details on things he needs to improve upon. So I just want to know from you what you have seen, what you think Hurts needs to do as a franchise quarterback, and what he has to do this upcoming season to be anointed the franchise quarterback, especially since the continued speculation in regards to Deshaun Watson, Eagles being connected to him, that they might have interest in him down the line.
Look, it didn't take a Carson Wentz miracle for the Eagles to think like this is the guy. I mean, he did throw 16 touchdowns and 14 interceptions his rookie year, but the stats aside, everybody knew he was the guy. So I could sit here and say he needs to throw a certain amount of touchdowns, a certain amount of interceptions, a certain amount of yards to make you confident, but that's not the case. His numbers don't matter. It's if he wills this team to victory, if he takes this system and makes it his own and makes the Eagles think, you know, we can't build an offense around anybody else but Jalen Hurts. He fits what we're doing now. So he needs to go out there and prove that he could be the starting quarterback. He's a starting caliber quarterback in this league. Again, what I thought was the most amazing asset about Jalen Hurts last year is his arm strength was always questioned going into this draft. It's not the best in the league, and it won't be the best in this league, but you don't need to have the best arm strength in this league to win as a starting quarterback. You don't have to have the best arm. And yet he went out there and he threw one of the most outrageous numbers of downfield passes. He was on the most in the league, and then Deshaun Watson was second. So in terms of needing a guy that can throw the ball down the field and thinking Deshaun Watson gives you the upper hand in there, Jalen Hurts can do it as well. It's maybe not as pretty as Deshaun Watson, but he can get the job done. So all Jalen Hurts has to go out there this year is prove that he can will the Eagles to victory every time he's under center. And arguably he did that last year, given with everything was stacked against him. He had no real offseason, no real rookie year. Came into it not expecting to start at all, runs out there, and this guy, he not only takes Carson Wentz's job, but makes Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Darius Slay, veterans on this team confident enough to think, you know what, I don't have to demand a trade. This team imploded. They fired their Super Bowl head coach. The franchise quarterback demanded out. We're turning the reins over to this guy, but I'm in. I bought in, and so he already made that impact on that locker room. All he has to do is go out there, roll this team to victory, show that he can make this Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson new offense into his own, and that's it. He's the Eagles starting quarterback moving forward. So it's easy to ping Deshaun Watson to the Eagles because 3 first-round picks and an unproven quarterback. And yes, of course, they would love to have him if Jalen Hurts doesn't pan out. He's going to be an option regardless. So Adam Schefter's just going to speak on a known fact, but the beautiful thing is he never says when's it going to happen. He never says this is when's going to happen. This is when you expect it by, because it can happen anytime. Right now, it's Jalen Hurts' time to prove that he could be a starting quarterback for this team, and he's going to be the starter in 2021. We'll see after that.
And another article you wrote that I want to bring up. Now, this kind of brings us to the defensive side of the ball. And it's about trusting Jonathan Gannon with developing the corners on the roster. I know there's clamoring for Steven Nelson, and you see that the Dolphins with the whole Xavier Howard and, is he going to be dealt? What are they going to do with him? And of course, anytime anybody is rumored to be wanting to go somewhere, a free agent looking around, Eagles always get linked to it. But you wrote this article about Gannon and developing the corners. What do you feel about the defensive coordinator for the Eagles being able to develop these young, unproven guys for this roster to play opposite Darius Slay?
It's interesting. When they went into this head coaching hiring process, they hired 2 of their top coaches, because I consider the head coach and defensive coordinator being the top coaches of this team, especially if you're hiring an offensive head coach. They went into that and they hired 2 guys who specialize where the Eagles fail at the most, wide receiver and corner. To me, Jonathan Gannon is exactly that. He brings a guy. Look, Xavier, his career was done. I thought he was completely done leaving Minnesota, that the guy was completely toast. And he goes out there and he plays like a top 10 corner. And guess what? Chris Ballard, a guy who Eagles fans clamor about, thinking he's so much better than Howie Roseman, and if you read the article, obviously, singly credited Jonathan Gannon for Xavier Rhodes' career rejuvenation. I think that's huge. And Kenny Moore is the best nickel corner in this league, who was an undrafted free agent by the New England Patriots, thought of nothing, and he turned him into something like that. Why would I not be confident? And he's done it in Minnesota as well. He comes from a great background where corners are always surplus. So when you hear a guy like Zach McPherson and you're thinking, the Eagles waited to the 4th round, yeah, that did frustrate us, but that wasn't really the plan. The plan was they would have took a corner. They would have, if Patrick Surtain was there, that would have been the pick. I know for a fact that would have been the pick. If J.C. Horn was there, that would have been the pick. Devontae Smith, with those guys getting picked, they forced their hand to trade up and get the wide receiver they wanted to get. I'm sorry for the dogs in the background; they want to be a part of the podcast. But
good.
It's always so funny to me that people say, they don't really try, they haven't really tried. They are trying. They are interested in Steven Nelson. They have conversations with him, but the Eagles have an asking price, and they think that if you can't meet their asking price, they're not going to make the move. But they really like Zach McPherson. I don't know if they think Avonte Maddox has a future at corner, because they lined him up at safety at training camp a couple times. At OTAs a couple times. So I don't know what they really do think about Avonte Maddox. They like Michael Jacquet. I think we should give him another chance. I think, we take that Cowboys game for granted, but Jim Schwartz left corners on an island to ask an undrafted free agent who had no real offseason to be on an island against the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Yep. You're asking for that to happen. So I know fans always want to have the proven name, but this guy has a proven track record of developing guys like TJ Carey, Kenny Moore, who I just talked about, Xavier Rhodes' career rejuvenation, Pierre Desser played really well with him as well. And then guys in Minnesota. Mike Hughes, didn't work out after Jonathan Gannon left, but there was times where Trey Waynes did work out when he was a complete bust for them. But there were times where he played well. Veterans they had with them, like Jonathan Gannon was a part of all of that. So that's the only reason why I say give him a chance, because he specializes in corner. He has a proven track record. You're going to have young guys on because no matter what, the Eagles have to see what they have in young guys. Darius Slay's cap hit the next couple of years is not, you can't keep that. If he doesn't agree to, and I'll tell you right now, if they don't go to the playoffs this year or look like a playoff caliber team or at least compete, he might want out. He's never won a playoff game in his career. His cap hit's not capable. You can't maintain that. So I know Xavier Howard's out there, and I really do think the Eagles would be interested in him if he's obtainable, but they have to see what they have in Zach McPherson. They have to see what they have in Michael Jacquet. They have to see what they have in the young guys on the roster right now, because one of those guys might have to be a starter in 2022 or forced to be in that position. And Jonathan Gannon's job is to put them in the best position to succeed. And we're all forgetting as well is this scheme's going to be completely different. This isn't going to be Jim Schwartz's leave your guy on an island. It's going to be cover two with the safeties. And you have the best, in my opinion, you have the best coverage safety in Anthony Harris, and you have a top 5 coverage safety in Rodney McLeod. They're going to be over the top, giving your corners support. The quarterback 2 position, no matter who it is going to be better this year. Whether it's Steven Nelson, whether it's, I don't think it's going to happen now, Richard Sherman, whether it's Michael Jacquet. If it's a young person, if it's a young corner, or it's Zach McPherson, they're going to be in a better position than they were if Jim Schwartz was taking over. So that's why I'm confident in Jonathan Gannon in the corner position right now.
So kind of along those lines, and gentlemen, I'm going to go a little bit off book here because you sparked a question in my head. So you mentioned all these young guys, and you also mentioned the fact that there's a need for development, but also a need to kind of win to keep some of these guys in line. So what kind of rope is Sirianni going to be given for like playing the young guys who didn't get a lot of chances to play, and they were considered coming from the Peterson regime? Like I can think of quite a few guys on the roster who, if it wasn't for Doug Peterson, probably wouldn't even be in the NFL. But now they're still they're transitioning now to this new coaching staff. Are they going to get another chance? Is he going to start weeding out guys that aren't hit? Like, what is the overall feel for win versus development?
If you don't fit what they bring, they have no emotional attachment to you. They can get rid of you. Because I do think from what the sense is, there's going to be a little bit of a step back approach from the front office. Instead of being so hands-on, they're going to try something different now and trust these guys to grow into it like they did with Andy Reid. So if you don't fit what they want to do going forward, you're not going to make the team. I hate to say it because I don't think it's going to happen. But guys like Greg Ward, Boston Scott, they're going to really have to earn it. Even Alex Singleton's not guaranteed a job this year. This coaching staff, if you weren't a part of the 2021 draft class, has no ties to you at all. You have to earn your keep. You have to earn that position. Jordan Mailata, even the fact that he's in a competition is silly, to be honest with you guys, because he played out of this world last year. That's somebody you can build on going forward. I actually do think he's a future Jason Peters. I do think he could be that good. So the fact that he's in this competition is silly, but the reason why is they're not sold on him. They don't owe anything to Jordan Mailata. He didn't prove that he should be a long-term starter, and Nick Sirianni was not here when that all happened. This coaching staff wasn't the main guys in the head positions. You're talking about Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Kevin Batul. Have nothing to do with anybody on this roster besides the 2021 draft class. So you have to really have to make an impact in training camp. You have to earn your role, because a lot of guys, because you look at off the top of my head, there's probably 9 positions, that might be even a little too rich, that are locked up on this team that earn their keep, and they still have to reprove themselves to this coaching staff, but are going to earn their keep regardless and start at those positions. Other than that, there's a lot of holes on this team, and there's going to be a lot of roles that need to be up for grabs, and you're going to have to earn it, or you're not going to make this roster. JJ Arcega-Whiteside could beat out Greg Ward in in the preseason if he plays well. If he plays well, because I don't. That's not going to happen, guys. But no, I'm saying
we take turns,
right? But the point is, if JJ Arcega-Whiteside, if they blows their minds and thinks, you know what, it was the coaching, we can fix this guy, it's not going to happen. But if it's not going to happen. The guy doesn't. Right, cool. I don't think I don't think he's an NFL wide receiver. But
no.
I'm saying if he proves to them that, yes, he is workable, they can fix him, they might say, we need to keep this over Greg Ward or John Hightower or Quez Watkins, something like that. You have to earn it. A lot of guys on this team are going to have to earn it. And, if Doug Peterson was still here, John Hightower, Greg Ward are making this team. Yeah, right. With them not being here, it's not guaranteed.
Wait, so, quick quick follow up on the J Jaw. Is he an NFL tight end?
No.
Okay, good.
You still have to run routes to be a tight end, and having cement feet doesn't make you. He might be a basketball player. He might be a basketball player the way he moves, but he's not an NFL player. I was out on him after probably his 4th game in his rookie year, and I don't like to give up on players.
This
Travis
is a good
Fulgham.
question that came in from Ryan. Do you think Fulgham makes it this year on the roster? Same thing. He kind of came in, was a flash in the pan, and then disappeared for the back half. Do you think he makes it this year on this roster?
I do, but he has to earn it too as well. I mean, I would be flabbergasted if they cut him. I think everybody else would be in the world too, but he has to earn his role too, because this is a team that, I mean, these are coaches that, Nick Sirianni has dealt with the Mike Williams when he got drafted in then San Diego, and Shane Steichen has dealt with Mike Williams. He's dealt with Zach Pascal. He's dealt with Michael Pittman's up and downs. He knows how to handle and develop a next wide receiver. If Travis Fulgham doesn't meet his expectations, they're going to have to look elsewhere, and it's going to be the draft.
Is that what you're looking forward to? So training camp's like 2 weeks away. Is it something that you're looking forward to in training camp? Is all these battles that we're going to have and all these open positions, open roster spots that we haven't seen for a long time? Because, usually the coaching staff has set players, or you have a lot of young players who are set because they're in their mid-20s and, they're top players. This is a lot different than what we've seen.
I'm looking forward to seeing young guys actually get coached, not asked to, be yourself and let that work out. Because, a lot of the young guys on this team weren't able to do that. They weren't able to work out of their head. It really bothered me to see Nelson Aguilar used correctly by John Gruden. That bothered me. That extremely bothered me, because not only did he succeed from the slot, he succeeded from the Z. And he never, ever was close to that in Philadelphia. He could never do that in Philadelphia. And I'm thinking, what did they do to him? What did they iron out? I know not playing in Philly and having the fans in your ears and the mental side of it helps, but what were the finer details that they ironed out to make him more complete? Because that, thanks to Oakland, thanks to John Gruden, Nelson Aguilar just cashed out in New England. So where are the finer details, and why are they being missed with a coaching staff that won a Super Bowl? That's what I'm excited to see, because Jalen Reagor's coming from TCU. Yeah, that's a tough transition to the NFL. That's tough, and especially when you don't have a real offseason and your coach is just saying, go run these fly routes and make it work. We drafted you to be the speed guy. Make it work. Make it work. That's not how it works with young guys. You need to work with them and iron out, what they need to transition to in the NFL. Like, he has some flaws he needs to work on. You need to work on that. You need to be technically sound, and that's what these guys are. Next year, you see the video with Devontae Smith. You all saw it. Like, Doug Pearson's a great coach. I love Doug Pearson, but he's a player's coach. He trusts his players to get out of their. He trusted Carson Wentz a little too much, if we're being honest. But he would never get into Devontae Smith like that, because he knows Devontae Smith, a top 10 pick and won the Heisman Trophy in Alabama, is probably one of the most accomplished young wide receivers he would ever get his hands on. He would just let him do his own thing. Nick Sirianni's not scared to coach his guys, regardless of what ranking they are. And that's what's different with this team. And that's what the culture is going to change. And we're going to see who actually is going to buy. That's what I'm excited to look forward to training camp. Who thinks they earned their spot but doesn't have to work for it, and who hasn't earned their spot is actually working for it. And I think a lot of young guys are going to surprise us with that. I think one thing that we're overlooking is Derek Barnett is not guaranteed a starting position. He's not guaranteed to be defensive end one. Josh Sweat is more adequate for this type of defense than I would say Derek Barnett is as a pass rusher. I would be interested to see if this guy comes in and goes, you know what, Jim Schwartz isn't here anymore. Derek Barnett was a Jim Schwartz favorite. I'm going to go out there and take his job. I'm going to perform better than him in this defense to make him want to start me. Same thing for Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson doesn't want to be a backup. That's a joke to him. He went out on the field with a torn ACL just because he wanted to play one snap for Bama. Yep. If he's healthy, he doesn't want Isaac Seumalo to start. He's not waiting for Jason Kelce to retire. Like Nate Herbig, he loves Brandon Brooks. They're all best friends, and Brandon Brooks is honestly a top 3 guard in this league, top 2 if you've asked me. But this is still a new coaching staff. Why should Isaac Seumalo start over Nate Herbig? these guys are going to go into this and think, though Doug Peterson thought one way about these guys and they were set in stone, so we didn't try as hard. These guys don't think that anymore. There's no Jim Schwartz favorites like there was with Nate Gary and so on and so forth. Like, we have to prove ourselves to these guys, and if we do, we might actually get a chance to start. Like, Josh Sweat should play more snaps than Derek Barnett, let's be honest. That's what I think. I honestly believe that. So that's what I think is going to be a little bit different. Javon Hargrave was a big free agent acquisition thought of for Jim Schwartz's system. Dylan Williams shouldn't take a relaxed approach and be satisfied with defensive tackle 3, if you ask me. He shouldn't be satisfied with being that backup interior guy. He should think, I was drafted pretty high. I should become a starter for this team. I should really earn it. Same with Zach McPherson, Michael Chiquette and Avonte Maddox in front of you, Kevon Seymour, Shakari Taylor, that's not real competition, man. You should think to yourself, I have an opportunity to prove to this coaching staff, who is also a rookie, just like myself, that I can start for this team. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing all these guys that aren't proven, prove to unproven coaching staff that they should start over guys that were considered favorites before that I don't think deserve that much playing time that they got.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we are talking to Conor Myles from EaglesNativeSI.com, also the co-host of Eagles Unfiltered podcast, reporter Ed Kratz. You can follow all his work on Twitter at Conor Myles SI. Again, Conor, thanks for joining us this evening. Just one final question before we get out of here with you. Again, this was a 4-11-1 football team last season. Now we're the new head coach, uncertainty at quarterback, and a team with a lot of question marks. Now, some fans are a little bit optimistic that we can turn this ship around. Some fans and experts feel this team is in due for a rebuild or a retool, however you want to word it. So I just want to I know it's only July. We haven't had training camp yet, but what are your predictions for the Philadelphia Eagles for 2021? Obviously, they're not a Super Bowl contending team in most people's opinions, but do you feel they could be a contending team in this division or a playoff team? What are your thoughts as it stands right now?
They can definitely contend in this division, but
I
don't have to have playoff aspirations for me to consider this season a success, because I didn't. To go back in 2016, did you guys really think that Doug Peterson was going to take a rookie quarterback and go to playoffs right away? I mean, I know they started off hot, but it was always meant for the wheels to fall off, and that might happen with Nick Sirianni's really a first-year play caller. Like, Shane Steichen's not the best guy to have in his ear and hope you're going to make it work. He's very limited in that department too. Brian Johnson as well. It's going to take an adjustment period with this team because, again, quarterback is new. Your running back is still trying to establish himself as a lead running back. Your wide receivers, Devontae Smith's going to set himself as wide receiver 1 for sure, but he still has to establish himself that as a rookie. Dallas Goedert is taking over as tight end 1 no matter what happens with Zach Ertz. All this stuff is going to be different. And same with the defense. Jonathan Gannon's a first-year play caller. So they don't have to go to the playoffs for me to consider this a success. If they win 7 to 8 games, that's progress, and that means they went in the right direction. Now they can go from 2016 to 2017 type jump and add the final pieces they needed, like an Xavier Howard, like we talked about, or so on and so forth. Derek Stingley's in this draft too. They might really like him and trade up for him. There's always there's a lot of good edge rushers in this draft. I'm really excited about this upcoming draft to have 3 first-round picks if this works out with Carson Wentz. It's I'm excited for the Eagles' future because no matter what happens this season, they're going to be in a phase where they can build upon going forward. The only question mark is Nick Sirianni the guy? And if he shows to me this year that he takes a team that fired their Super Bowl winning head coach, has a front office that was too hands-on and got a slap of the face of reality, takes a team where a franchise quarterback demanded he needs to leave and that he would not play for them if his current head coach was even the coach of the team, and he takes them and he wins 4 more games than they won last year with everything given. Oh, that's good. That's the guy. They made the right decision. They got the right guy. But if they win 3 games and they look dysfunctional as ever and Devontae Smith didn't give them any type of spark, Nick Sirianni's not the guy, or I don't know about him then. And then these rumors that Michael Robinson's trying to start are actually true. So we'll see, because really it all comes down to Nick Sirianni. I know it all comes down to Jalen Hurts and what he can do, but if Nick Sirianni can take this 4-win football team and double their win amount with everything I just said, that most coaches can't do that. Most rookie head coaches can't do that. So that means he is the right guy for the job. He doesn't have to go to the playoffs to prove that to me. He just has to at least show that they're better than they are last year, and they're heading in the right direction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Conor Myles, man, pumped us up, man. We played the pump up video, and then all of a sudden, you brought this positivity. Like you're ready to go. You can't wait these 2 weeks for training.
You can't have 3 first-round picks and the amount of cap space the Eagles have next year and not say that they have a bad future. Like this is all doom and gloom. And not only that, look what they're doing with the front office with all the promotions they're doing. I mean, from everything that I've heard from the front office is Andy Weidel is now Joe Douglas. Like, so at least the one thing I could say about Howie, I know everybody hates him, everybody wants him gone, but the one thing I say about him is he always takes a step back when something goes wrong and he reevaluates and he thinks, what can I do better? And it seems like what he's doing better right now is he's letting other guys speak for himself. And a lot of these new coaches made all the decisions, just so we all know. Okay. Just so we all are aware. A lot of these new coaches made all these decisions, coaching staff wise, hirings. Because Nick Sirianni, if they really wanted to, if Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman were hands-on in this hiring process, I think Graham Harrell or Jim Caldwell would be the offensive coordinator, not Shane Steichen. Steichen is a Nick Sirianni pick. Kevin Patul, you're the passing game coordinator. You're a big part of this offense. Is a Nick Sirianni pick. Jonathan Gannon is a Nick Sirianni pick. Like that wasn't what happened when Doug got here. You know, we said, here you go. We got your coaching staff. You can pick your offense coordinator though. But this is who you're having for defense coordinator, and he's the head coach of the defense. You can't say anything about the defense. That's not what happened this time around. So I am confident with the assets they have, and it looks like Howie is admitting his faults, saying, you know what, I was too hands-on. I need to step back. And when you miss out on your first 2 draft prospects and you still land a number 1 wide receiver, it looks like you're fixing a little bit of your draft formula to me. You're not just going for the position of need. So I am positive because there was changes that we're all missing in all the doom and gloom that we're all talking about because we're all focused on Deshaun Watson, which is
right.
If you guys want to talk about that real quick, I got some time, but
hold on, wait, let me make it. Hang on, go.
Yeah,
it's official.
You know, Adam Schefter's going to link Deshaun Watson to the Eagles. If he was on a Miami radio show, he would link them to the Dolphins as well, and any team that has a quarterback opening, he would link them to. Now, the reason why the Eagles are number 1 is because of the Dolphins. They gave him that first-round pick. Of course, the Eagles have the assets to acquire him. And if you go up and whoever's watching the show looks up the Eagles cap space next year, I'm looking at Adam Schefter's not looking at it from an Eagles fan standpoint. He's not looking at it from a Philadelphia market standpoint. He's looking at it from, I need to draw dots because I'm a National League insider. I need to connect dots because that's what my job is. The Eagles have the cap. They have an unproven quarterback, and they have the assets to acquire Deshaun Watson because the Texans are going to be forced to trade him. If he had to make a list of teams, he's not just going to say the Eagles. He's going to say the Dolphins and so on and so forth, whoever has a quarterback opening. So I know we're all because sports, I know WIP and 97.5 want to just soak this stuff in and just run with it. But he's going to link the Eagles until the end of time, until the Deshaun Watson saga is over with, or until Jalen Hurts comes out this season and proves he should be the franchise quarterback. He never says when Deshaun Watson trade is going to happen. He just says that is a team that you should count in it. And any NFL insider is going to tell you that because he's not looking at it from an Eagles binoculars like the Philadelphia market is or a fan is. They're looking at it from a common sense standpoint of covering the National Football League and seeing a team that doesn't have a proven quarterback and the assets to acquire one. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head, bro.
That's really
we've been doing this for a couple weeks now where we are all in agreement of, look, Jalen Hurts needs at least a year because if at the end of this year, if he turns out to not be the guy, like you keep saying, there are 3 first-round picks. You can find a guy. If he turns out to be the guy, then you have 3 first-round picks to continue building around him. So I think,
nothing but time, and that's exactly nothing but time. That's why they had nothing but time to do this because there's no decision on Deshaun Watson. The NFL will suspend him if this clears up.
Right.
This is bad for the league. He has a bad image. And not only that, he has to repair it, and the Eagles would have to prepare for it. They prepared for Vic. This is completely different than Vic. This is something huge. Yeah. And you're going to lose a lot of fans for it. No matter what we want to happen, we're going to lose a lot of fans for it. So it's just something you can just do overnight. And to think that this is going to happen before the season starts, that's a joke. It's not going to happen. They're already preparing for Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback. We're going to see what happens with Jalen Hurts this season. If it doesn't work out, I would definitely imagine that they try to acquire Deshaun Watson rather than draft a quarterback. Then I can see the comparisons.
Okay.
So
listen,
you're the man.
Conor, we got to thank you again for coming on, man. You came, you dropped some knowledge, you pumped us up.
Of course.
We're very appreciative here. Again, you can follow Conor Myles at Conor Myles SI. He's from Sports Illustrated, Eagles Maven. He's Eagles Unfiltered podcast at Eagles Unfiltered. My friend, we're gonna keep going. You're more than welcome to stay, but I know you are on a time crunch, so we want to again thank you and go Birds, my friend.
Go Birds always. Yeah, just hit me up, guys. I'm down to come on. I love the show. You guys are doing a great job with your stuff.
Appreciate
it, my friend. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
See you guys soon. You too.
Wow. Yo, he just wow. Anyone else ready to run through a wall?
Right? Look, on this podcast and just all off season, I would say us everywhere, the Philadelphia media everywhere, all you hear, like you said, is the doom and gloom. And look, I'm kind of happy that we have someone like him that's in a national platform giving off some positive vibe about this football team, because all we hear is how bad this roster is, how bad Nick Sirianni is, how bad Jalen Hurts is. And finally, we finally have someone that drops that type of knowledge and gets the understanding of this team.
The funny thing is, so I like that, and I like that aspect you brought, Jeff, because I took a look when Andy Reid came in 1999, and
do it.
An unproven coach. Yes, he had a young quarterback he just drafted, number 2, and had a veteran in Doug Peterson. But if you really look now, I'll compare it a little bit here because McNabb and Jalen Hurts were the same exact age.
Okay.
All the veteran quarterback. I know Peterson is younger than what Joe Flacco is, and it's going to be a little bit different of a situation. Their starting running back was Deuce Staley, who's the same age, and he was an unproven guy coming in. He finally got a couple starts in 98, drafted in 97, his third year, same age as another guy named Miles Sanders. And you have a left tackle potentially in Jordan Mailata, who they also had another unproven left tackle. Now he was a top pick, a Trey Thomas, who was in his second year, around the same age. So, and the thing that really brought me when he said holding people accountable. Back in 99, there was a offensive lineman named George Hegeman, who Andy Reid made run. There was something that happened, and he made him run, and then the next day cut him. And George Hegeman played with the Dallas Cowboys and was a veteran offensive line addition. So it's the reason I'm saying it, the reason I'm bringing it up is because you have young talent on the roster, but you need the coach to be able to mold him. And I feel Nick Sirianni can be that type of coach because we don't know. Same thing in 99. Nobody knew what Andy Reid could be. You just don't know until you see them on the field, until you see them with the players, how they are able to interact and be able to buy in. And this brings a great point for you, Chip, that you wanted to bring up. So I'll turn it over to you, transition it up to you to, try to hit the nail on the head here in terms of the thing you want to bring up.
So, what we've discovered as we have been doing an Eagles podcast is there is always news every week if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, right? There is never not a week where we have nothing to talk about. So, what came out this week? Well, unnamed sources. Reports came out yesterday about some players, again, unnamed sources, not buying into Sirianni. To which Lane Johnson and not just Sirianni, to Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox were like, name them. Name those sources. Who are they? Because we're here every day. We're buying in. Say the name. What's my name, right? Say the name. Exactly. Like Blackline_HC said, right? Say the name. Here's what I'm going to say. You look at all the negativity surrounding it, right? Pro Football Focus, right? PFF. Ranks the Eagles roster at 29th in the NFL. 29th. And again, there's no reason not to rank them that badly. The roster, as Sirianni absorbed it, is bad. Right? But again, Sirianni likes to coach players. He loves to coach. Andy Reid loved to coach. Hell, Chip Kelly loved to coach. His biggest mistake was he brought in, instead of like, hey, this is one of my guys, Once he got there, he went, none of these guys are my guys. I'm going to go get my guys. And they're all from Oregon. And they weren't that good to begin with.
And bring a college-style offense to the pros that are never going to freaking work.
Jason Peters was ready to die chucking it up the field for 75 plays a game. But here's my concern. Here's my fear. Listening to Lane Johnson, listening to Fletcher Cox, are they overcompensating? Right? So in my mind, you go, name it, right? We're here every day. We love it. We're excited. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the future. He's great. He's great. He's great. Are they overcompensating? Or is there an actual sense of excitement around this team?
I don't think they're overcompensating. Look,
okay.
No one really knows. At least for the Sirianni part, Jalen Hurts was at least here all last season. So the fact that these guys are rallying around him, they know what Jalen Hurts, what type of player he is, and it's good that the teammates have their teammates back. And I agree with you. This team is excited. The players are excited. They're having a completely different atmosphere in that locker room. But the say that they're not buying into Sirianni, we literally had 2 weekends of OTAs that are not even full-on padded practices or game plan or anything. It's literally just drills right now. So how can these guys not buy into Sirianni? And it's coming from a source named Michael Robinson, which love him to death, former Penn State player. So I appreciate him for that. But dude, stick to analyzing football. Do not try to go in the reporter game and try to break news and try to come up with sources that you have no link to anyone in the organization, and people just ran with it. Yep. It was complete BS.
Well, the thing is, if doesn't matter where you are in terms of a job, there's always going to be an employee or employees who are upset with the way something is run. This is not the run they want. There's always going to be people who are upset.
Good point.
And who are these people who are getting upset? Because you have guys like Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson, and Miles Sanders has said, I think Jason Kelsey has said things about Sir. So yeah, they're going to be people that are upset. That's fine. You're going to have that no matter who the coach is, it doesn't really matter, because even the best head coaches have players that come out and bitch and complain how something is run, because
that's true.
You can't please everybody. Nobody is able to be pleased 100% of the time, whether it's a fan base, whether it's players. Somebody's going to not like something you do or something you say or how you run something. It's just the way it is. It's the way life is. That's how it works. And if you have the majority to be able to get behind you and fight for you and play for you, and to be able to have the veterans behind you, to be able to say, hey, this is the way we want it run, hold people accountable. This is what we want. To me, that speaks volumes if you have the leaders behind you instead of the.
But let me ask you this, because you made a really awesome point. Like the point you made is really excellent. Like, there's always going to be people that don't like you and don't like the way you're doing things. But remember, we're coming off of a coaching staff where the players loved him and they won a Super Bowl with him, and everyone was Peterson guys. So is it going to be too abrupt to all of a sudden, like Conor was saying just now, no, you got to go in and compete for your damn job? Like, is it going to be too much of a culture shock? Is this season, because of the culture shock, because all of a sudden nobody, Daddy Peterson isn't defending you and feeding you vanilla ice cream, no, Sirianni's making you work your ass off, is it going to be too much of a culture shock? And as Conor was kind of fearful of, going to be a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off situation?
I don't know. My big thing is, are the people complaining really like the way Doug Peterson did some things? If a couple holdovers.
People like winning. People like winning.
Exactly. Winning cures it. Not saying they're going to win 10, 12 games, but the thing, if they start losing, you may start seeing, because that's what happened last year. They won 4 games. Mm-hmm. And when you lose, and you lose again and again, and the way you lose, you turn the ball over, vanilla offense, you're predictable. Bad. It's just issues all up and down the place. Then you're going to have these unnamed sources, or is it a player that just said one thing and he's running with whole thing? Because, remember that old game you used to play, Whisper Down the Alley? By the time it got to the end, the story had turned into, dragons took over the world
Yeah.
and everything when it started as a dog ran across the street. So
I do that with my students. So again, I'm a history teacher. I do that with my students. I'll tell some sort of ridiculous line to a first student, and then I'll let them whisper down the lane. And by the time it gets to the end, I have them write it down on a piece of paper, and how completely skewed it is to teach like primary sources coming right from the source are more valuable than the second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth source. Look, on my show on Monday night, I had Rich from Drunk on Broad, right? You want to talk about unnamed sources? Here's another one, right? Rich has unnamed sources, and he didn't name him. He did a good job. He talked to 2 Eagles wide receivers, right? He went out, he did something. He talked to 2 Eagles wide receivers, and they said they prefer Carson Wentz over Jalen Hurts. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Who wouldn't?
Go to Indianapolis. Go while he tries to improve and recreate his career. I'm sure there's Eagles wide receivers who would want Deshaun Watson over Jalen Hurts. Cool. They might want Aaron Rodgers over. Cool. It doesn't change the fact that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. So the whole accountability thing is so clutch. Get with the program, or get out, because this is what the program is going to be for the foreseeable future. And I really respect that about the Eagles. Like I said, my only concern is you have such a roster that is ranked as pathetically as it is. And I know PFF is, hit or miss. I do understand.
Well,
but again, are they overcompensating? That's my only question with it. Are they overcompensating?
As these rankings are complete BS most of the time. Look, we're basing off of last season. We're basing off of a lot of uncertainty too. Look, this Eagles team, they have a roster that has a lot of holes in it, has some unknowns,
yes.
But they also have some solidified spots. That offensive line, if healthy, could be one of the top offensive lines in football. The pass rush with Brandon Graham and Hargrave and Fletcher Cox, that line, if they perform and stay healthy, could be one of the best in football. Yeah, we have some weaknesses in the secondary, like Conor brought up, that kind of scare me a little bit. Look, he brings up a great point. Look, they're probably not sold on Avonte Maddox, even though right now he's most likely your number 2 corner. The fact that they tried moving him to safety, and you need to know what you have with a lot of these young guys. The linebacking position is an unknown, and of course the biggest position that's an unknown is Jalen Hurts. But if Jalen Hurts balls out and has a big year, I don't care about these freaking rankings. I care about progression, like he said. And this is something that we need to realize as fans, that, like Conor brought up, success isn't based off of wins and losses or making the playoffs next year. If it happens, great. We want to see progression and development from these young players, and we want to see success from our head coach.
Yeah. So let me ask this before John, and John, I'll throw it to you first because it's kind of along those lines here. So we are talking about progression, and we're also talking about needing to progress in the wins and loss column, right? We're talking about the progression of Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, but we're also talking about how Sirianni can't have a 3 to 4 win season. He's got to win 7 to 8 games to show progress. So is there a point in all of this progress where they go, you know what? Jalen Hurts really isn't progressing. Let's bring in Joe Flacco to see if we can get those last couple wins.
God, I hope not.
I'm throwing stuff out there to see. Johnny, any thoughts on what I just threw at you? It's a whole mishmash.
I know that we need to see Jalen Hurts to be, a good quarterback, to be able to see if you can grow with him. And you want to be able to get, that 7 to 8 win range, to be better than you were last year. But also it takes a lot of, it isn't just Jalen Hurts, because you have the offensive line. You have some young players in terms of Jordan Mailata, and you have Landon Dickerson. Does he play? And the injury aspect, we always have that. But Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor and Travis Fulgham and Dallas Goedert, you have that on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, you have the unproven guys, but you also have that stellar defensive line and what they can do. If you can get some type of stability in terms of stability and growth, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
These younger players, these drafted players from 2019, 2020, 2021, these young crop of players. And like I said it last year too, you need to be able to have these players take the next step, to be able to grow, to be able to develop, because what that does is it helps you go into the following years and next years, because these players are going to be cheaper. You're not going to have to sign veterans and have all these veterans on the roster to hopefully you get something out of these 29, 30, 31-year-old veterans to give you all these snaps and all this production, because you need these young players to take the next steps. That's how you build rosters. It's how you're successful. If you look at teams who are successful, if you look at Super Bowl winners or divisional champions, a lot of them have some younger players who are starting to develop year in and year out. And that's how the Eagles were good in the early 2000s with Andy Reid, is they had these young players that took that next step. And then you had the veterans who moved on and the young guys behind them to take that next step, which is kind of what you saw with this draft. Like I said, the players they drafted, Landon Dickerson, you have Jason Kelsey in that same spot. You Milton Williams, you have Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. You're able to start drafting guys that are going to be behind these other players who are going to be moving on the next couple of years. So for me, I'd like to see 7-8 wins. I don't think putting Joe Flacco in to get those wins really tells you anything. It kind of tells you that there's a bigger issue in terms of your quarterback if you have to put the 37-year-old veteran backup with neck issues, to be a quarterback.
In my opinion, if Joe Flacco takes the field for any reason other than injury or mop-up football, they are drafting or trading for a quarterback in the offseason. It guarantees that Jalen Hurts is not the guy. 100%, because that has to be a last resort here. Jeff, anything on the let's bring in Flacco?
No, look, you guys touched on it. Look, if Jalen Hurts has to be given a full year, though, besides injury. We need to know. And look, we can't judge it based off of just stats. We need to judge it based off his composure in the pocket. Is he going through the reads? Going through his progressions, his throws and delivery on the ball? Is he missing receivers, or are these guys just dropping passes if we have a bad wide receiving core? So I know everyone wants to measure success based off of stats. We have to look a little bit further than that, and I'm hoping the coaching staff and the front office does too, as a positivity and as a negativity as well. So if he's holding onto the ball too long and getting sacked or turning the ball over, they need to take that into account under decision-making, whether they need to move on from Jalen Hurts or not after next season. But he has to be given a full season, and then we can reevaluate. I agree with Conor. I do not see anything happening with Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, whoever might be available before the start of this season. Jalen Hurts is your starter for 2021.
He has to be. You drafted him in the second round. You got to give him a chance. You have to give him a chance. That's it. So, Max, what's up, camp buddy? Thoughts on trading for – No, there is too much drama coming in with him. Yes, he's very good, but there's a real chance that he won't play the season. There is you have to give Jalen Hurts a chance. Kind of going back real quick, just on his comment real quick, and to your point, if he gets suspended this season and if you want Deshaun Watson, that's good for Eagles fans because you don't have to worry about trading one of those picks right now. You can wait till the offseason to reevaluate that if they do want to look at down the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes or down that road if they are interested in him. So if that's the case, that's the best case scenario. Right.
And I want to kind of wrap this into the poll question we had this week. And, you talked about acquisitions and Deshaun Watson. And, the poll question of the week, now we only had 94 votes. I don't know if that's enough for you, Jeff. I know you get that.
I'll give it a pass. It's better than Phil 65 or 70 he had. It's close to 100. 100, I consider it a solidified poll.
Okay.
Because it's actually like each vote is worth 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
So what free agent acquisition will make the biggest impact in 2021? So we had Anthony Harris, Ryan Kerrigan, Eric Wilson, or other, and explain. So Anthony Harris was 37%. That was the leader. Ryan Kerrigan came in second with 32%. Eric Wilson came in third with 31%. So all three were pretty close, and then there was 0% for other. And the reason I put other was see if anybody would put, say, Steven Nelson, or they would put their own type of free agent that would sign. Nobody did that.
Or Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. Yeah, true. I wasn't gonna go there. But my thing with this is it's not the. I was gonna think about put acquisition, but everything would have been Devontae Smith. I wanted to kind of go with just plain free agents,
Sure.
veteran free agents that they signed because, and the way I went Anthony Harris because he knows this defense. He's familiar with Jonathan Gannon. He was 2 years ago was a all-pro type of safety, was franchised by Minnesota. And I think within this defense, he's going to be impactful and going to be able to, going to be able to help the Eagles secondary. We've seen the safety position. We know of the safety position, what goes on, what we're looking for. And I feel he can be a playmaker on that back end. He can help the defense. And to me, I think he's going to be the guy. I'm not sure how you guys voted on these.
I voted. I like the Anthony Harris logic. And again, you're hearing Conor Myles talk. He's like, Anthony Harris is going to have an absolutely monstrous season.
Yep.
And maybe he will, but the thing is in the secondary, especially in the safety position, there are other guys, right? We need to know if Kayvon Wallace is a guy.
Yeah.
We need to know if they move Avonte Maddox to the safety position, if he's a guy, right? So there are other guys there. I voted Eric Wilson for one reason and one reason only. There is nobody else in the linebacking core. There is nobody else. So Eric Wilson almost has to have an impactful season because there's no one else that can play linebacker on this roster right now that we know of. Yeah. There is no one else on the roster right now that is a complete and total linebacker, right? Alex Singleton, I love him. I absolutely love him. And he's balls to the wall and he's 100 miles an hour. But when it comes to pass coverage, it's still a weakness. Right, just because he's better than Nate Geary, who already got cut before the season really started, doesn't mean that he's a good NFL linebacker. We didn't see anything out of Davion Taylor, so we don't know. We don't really have a solid linebacking core or any answers with the linebacking core. So I had to go Eric Wilson.
Yeah, look, Anthony Harris, I feel he's going to be a difference maker, especially that back end of that defense, especially with the unknown of Rodney McLeod's health status for the start of the season. But I agree with Chip. I had to go with Eric Wilson, not just because he helped solidify one of the biggest weaknesses on our defense over the last pretty much decade, but the fact that the dude's a playmaker. That is something that we've been missing on this defense as a whole, and Anthony Harris is that as well. But Eric Wilson, he's a tackling machine. Like Phil said, he's one of the better cover linebackers in the NFL, and he's a guy that can cause some havoc for opposing offenses. So, and the nothing against Ryan Kerrigan and Jason. Jason feels that he's going to eat up defensive line or offensive line this year. What was that?
He's going to be splitting a lot of time. Exactly.
Look, Kerrigan, I'm not saying he's washed up or anything like that. He still had productive time in Washington, playing only like 33% of the snaps and still getting to the quarterback, but he's not a 3-down defensive lineman anymore. He's going to be coming in as a backup and filling depth, like Johnny said, relieving Josh Sweat or whoever else. Like he might be in a rotational situation. So he might be productive for the amount of snaps he gets, but he's not going to be like an all-pro or a Pro Bowl level caliber player, in my opinion.
So I was going to go Eric Wilson on this, but I thought you guys were going to go Kerrigan for some reason. So that's why I went Harris. I just felt Harris. I agree with your points with Wilson. Wilson is going to be, he is the starter, and he's going to be he's the number one linebacker. He is the starter. So that's a given. He should be impactful in this defense because, again, from Minnesota, he knows the defense. He's going to know the defense. He's going to be familiar with the defense. I understand what Jason's saying with Kerrigan, but again, you have to remember who else is on the defensive line. There's going to be a lot of rotating bodies. You're going to have a lot of guys. Right. Unless they deal a guy like Derek Barnett and his $10 million to get a veteran player. Cough Howard from Miami. But like I said,
just get that looked at, bro.
I think the free agent acquisitions, I think that it's kind of been overlooked a little bit, a little underrated, the acquisitions they made. Yeah, they weren't, huge acquisitions, big time free agent signings, but they filled needs that, and they're quality players. They're not veterans or outcasts or guys who are in their, Kerrigan is a guy in his 30s, but he's for a different role. But these guys aren't guys who are washed up players trying to sign, hoping they get 100% of the snaps.
They aren't washed up. Yeah, I'll say they're solid selections, but these guys are really only short-term solutions.
Yeah, no
They're
doubt.
really only a solution for this season, and like Conor brought up, and we keep continuing to bring up, they're not really a playoff contending team, and we're not basing their success on that. But what? I don't know if that's the case, and I feel these moves are just the front office and management trying to sell to the fans that they are not in a rebuild or a retool, that they're still trying to show that they're out here to win football games and they're not throwing in the towel completely. Because otherwise, if they were, they wouldn't be making these moves. They would be going with the young talent and completely revamping the entire roster next season.
Here's the thing. It's a lot of moving parts, right? So number one, and Jason is hitting it right now in the comment section, the injuries. We have, for the past couple of seasons, been an injury-prone team. Okay, so we do need the extra bodies. That's number one. Number two, we do need the veteran leadership. So the guys they brought in are veterans to the NFL.
I agree.
Number three, they're all brought in on proven contracts. So if they come in and they are excellent superstar players, then they're going to get paid. So there's as much incentive for them to do well as it is for the Eagles to play them. Number four, we're talking about development. Some of the best development that's done, yes, is by the coaches, absolutely. But by a guy going, hey, I know this technique and it has worked for me. Let me show it to you because we play the same position. Those four moving pieces are all intertwined. And the picks that they have, they're good picks. They are good picks. They're not flashy. They're not great. Like the Ryan Kerrigan thing, we all got excited for because he's a name pick. But he's being brought in as a Chris Long type role. He is not being brought in to get 10 to 15 sacks. If he does, added bonus. But he's not coming in for that role. He's coming in to solidify a defensive line that never finishes out a season, to give Josh Sweat more technique, to give maybe Derek Barnett more technique, and to train some of these other young guys that came in. No, got to know the roles, and we have to accept those roles.
Yep.
No, you're 100% right on that. You know,
I know I am. Victory sip. Victory sip.
I always like the preseason just because I like seeing the younger guys and who can, who shows you something maybe on the practice squad to be able to, develop. I feel this year is going to be very interesting because one, we didn't have a preseason last year. Two, you're going to see a lot of competition with a lot of positions. So it's going to be able to, with your eyes, to be able to see some of these guys and how they, they're going to be playing up against some top players. And yeah, they're not going to be named guys, but kind of what they can do and how you see Hurts, because we didn't see Hurts a lot last year. We saw him in a handful of games, but the more reps you get, the better to see with all these players, because this is a developmental type of year. Like Conor said, 2016, we didn't expect, the Eagles to be some great team. Now, did they luck into it in 2017? Everything hit it right? Yeah, it happens. But it's a developmental type of year. You need to see development out of some of these young players. And I feel the preseason is going to be nice because you're going to be able to see some of these guys and taking some meaningful reps on the field against a team other than their own team going slow in practice. So,
right.
I feel like
to that point, I'm going back to 952. Ryan put a comment in, and it was a question. It's a really great question that I want to spend a couple minutes on. So we know we're an injury-prone team over the past couple seasons. The question that Ryan asked is, do you think that there will be less injuries in training camp than what we've had the past few seasons? I'm going to start off with a very simple yes. There will be less injuries because they're actually going and competing, right? They're not going in and like half-assing through drills and half-assing through reps so that when they have to go at game speed right away, oh my God, I haven't been training for game speed. In order to win a job on Nick Sirianni's team, you had better win your damn job. Competition breeds greatness. It's going to start to bring out the best in players going, you know what? I'm a little sore, but I can push through it. All these soft tissue injuries. You also have to remember that last season, there was no training camp. It was sitting in a room, looking at your screen, learning it through meetings. So that matters. I teach it. I cannot tell you. And again, I'm a middle school teacher, so I'm not doing anything crazy and chaotic. But I can't tell you the number of times that I'm like, I can't sit in this chair anymore. So I would move it and turn and literally teach standing up. Because so I work out every day, and the guy, I'm working on a new program, and the guy who runs it said sitting is new smoking, in danger to your body. So soft tissue injuries kept happening over and over again for these Eagles. Competition breeds greatness.
I feel
These players want a job. They're going to go out and play.
I feel like that's like the camera angle of your Manscaped shaver that we just experienced.
I want to have that image in my head.
Jeff now has that image painted in his mind, and he's enjoying it.
Your
Okay.
balls will thank you.
Jesus.
You went to balls. What do you think about this, Jeff? The injuries and whether or not their injuries are going to continue to rack up.
Well, injuries are part of the NFL. This is a physical contact sport. So injuries are going to happen. But I kind of feel I agree with you. I feel it's going to be a little bit less, just for the fact because we don't have a lot of those aging veterans. We don't have the Alshon Jeffries or the Deshaun Jacksons, these guys that we were expecting that can come off injury year after year, week after week, and come in and produce, and they continue to have those nagging injuries. Well, we have a couple guys. Look, Brandon Brooks, he had 3 major injuries the last 3 straight seasons that cost him the year, which I'm hoping he can come back from. And he's a physical freak. So if anyone can do it, it is him. But look, injuries are part of the game, and I feel that I know everyone wants to criticize the coaching staff or the training staff or anything like that. They only can do so much. Unfortunately, we have had a bad luck with this Eagles team of having injuries, and I'm hoping, and in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be as bad this year, but we don't know. We won't know until they step on that field. The one positive thing from all of this, though, is there's only 3 weeks of the preseason and 3 cuts, and there's basically a mini bye for the entire NFL between Labor Day and the start of the season. So we don't have to worry about a 4th preseason game. We don't have to worry about 4th cuts or anything like that. It'll all be done before the end of August, which will be nice for us and for reporters and things like that. They don't have to worry about covering cuts on Labor Day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, they're given those cut breaks, but also remember the practice squad's going to be, they're going to have a lot more players again to be able to have guys, and I feel it's a benefit to this coaching staff.
That was a big change
with a young coaching staff to be able. If there's some guys that are, you want to see more of, but they're not going to make the 53, you got them on there to be able to still coach them up, still be there. I know other teams can poach them all, but I feel like that's another thing that's kind of overlooked. Not underlooked. I don't know why I said that, but you know what I meant. Overlooked that situation of having that amount of players, especially with a young coaching staff, a first season to be able to have guys on the practice squad. Because I'll bring it up again. I'll bring up Andy Reid again just because of the young coach.
Right.
There were a lot of players in terms of undrafted practice squad guys that were crucial players. They weren't stars. They weren't guys that were, Pro Bowlers, all pros, but there were guys that they found and they were able to get and make solid contributions. And they weren't the highest of highs. They had to spend a year on the practice squad. They were an undrafted guy. So you have that, and you'll have that every year. And like I've said, I know I've mentioned, I think in either chats or in conversations with you guys that this season is going to be tough. Like, I know like everyone likes to do like predictions of what the roster is going to look like and everything. And
you can't. Not yet.
But previous years, you could be like, maybe there's 1, 2, or 3 spots that are pretty open. This year, it's so open because you don't know, because this coaching staff they're not tied to every single player on this roster.
Yeah.
Well,
they're not tied to anybody.
Not just tied, but also remember, like Jason brings up, he brings a comment. He's saying his only concern is that Howie doesn't allow competition to play out. Remember the Alshon Jeffrey issue that last year, which we keep on forgetting. Sirianni is not going to have final say when it comes to assembling this roster. It was announced in that opening press conference that is Howie's job and the front office job to assemble the 53-man roster. His job will be game day. So, of course, Howie and the guys hopefully will take Sirianni and the coaching staff's opinion and their thoughts, and when it comes to assembling this roster and how they want to run things and who they might value as far as special team talent and things like that. But there's no damn guarantee. And if there's a guy, and the one thing that people are going to be worried about, and it was brought up by Adam Kaplan on their podcast with Jeff Mosher this past week, is he feels that JJ Arcega-Whiteside really he doesn't have a sure guarantee to make this roster.
Shouldn't.
Exactly. And that's the one thing we've been worrying about, is because we keep on the front office never wants to admit that they're wrong, and they're not ready to give up on a guy because they drafted him so highly. So hopefully that is going to be the case, where they're not going to put that into consideration and base it off who has the best camp and who has the best ability for this roster, which is something that we hope that Howie can do and that we have to somewhat worry about a bit.
So quick point to Jason's comment about the whole Alshon Jeffrey. When we had Trey Thomas on, and we mentioned about Jason Peters, why Jason Peters is playing, what did he say? He said money plays. True. How much money was Alshon Jeffrey making? I understand the Travis Fulgham and also practice wasn't the best, but money plays. Jason Peters was making money. Also Alshon Jeffrey was making a good chunk of money. That could have been a big factor in terms of that.
Yeah, and again, you have heard since the very first press conference, the very first one, that it's going to be competition every day. We're going to get better at the little things, and then we'll go from there. So if that holds true, and you heard what Conor Myles said tonight, where he said, look, there's absolutely no tie to any of these guys. They got to earn their spots. He also mentioned that now that the roster has kind of been assembled, they've taken a step back. Howie has taken a step back. If that holds true, then Sirianni, who got to pick his coaches, is actually going to get a real legitimate chance to do this. I think, look, as Eagles fans, we all want, and as sports fans in general, we all want the outcome that we want. We want to be hoisting a Lombardi trophy. That's not in the cards this year unless something miraculous happens.
Yeah.
Know where this team is, accept where this team is, be a fan, root them on every single game, every single play, be passionate, but be realistic on what your goals for this season are. That's how I think we should wrap up. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
We're over an hour now, so let's get the show.
Good. So we have had an absolutely kick-ass show. I want to again thank Conor Myles from Sports Illustrated for coming on. If you didn't see, once this goes on the replay on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, first off, like, subscribe, and share out so you know when we're live. But then watch the first half of this back. He had a lot of great insight and a lot of great positivity. This has been the All About the Birds weekly report. We have quite a few sponsors that we want to give shout-outs to. First off, I want to give a shout-out to Statement Games, a fun, free twist on fantasy sports. There is a link in the bio. Check it out. OddsJam.com. You can use their arbitrage calculator to not lose money. Again, link in the bio. The AATBirds.com/shop. All kinds of cool designs. And if you have any great design ideas, DM one of us. We will see what we can do. Johnny can make the magic happen. If you're looking at his shirt, you will see that it is Hurt season. That is an All About the Birds original. 99jersey.com is partnered with All About the Birds. Use the code AATBirds20 for 20% off at checkout. And my very favorite thing to say is Manscaped.com is partnered with All About the Birds. You can use the codes AATBirds for a 20% discount and free shipping at checkout. And, of course, your balls will thank you. Right? This has been the All About the Birds weekly report. I want to give a shout-out to my co-hosts in crime, Jeff Warner at Jeff Warner NFL, Johnny Uleka, Johnny U 9322 922.
Correct. 9322.
Woohoo! You didn't put it in the link there, so
I know.
had
What's
to.
in your bio, Johnny?
Now I'm gonna make
It's cool.
people remember it.
It's all good.
I have an eidetic memory, apparently. I don't know. And I am Chip Kaggy at Chip for the Birds as we end every single show here on the All About the Birds Network. A very simple, rock solid, middle of July. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Woo! Summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? You're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds. It's time to bundle up with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. First off, the new Performance Package 4.0 includes the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is insane and, dare I say, the GOAT of ball trimmers. Yes, I said it. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on-off switch and can engage a travel lock and gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Not to mention, it's waterproof. Want to take your grooming game even further to the next level? The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquids formulations. Before heading outside, use Crop Preserver ball deodorant to keep you on your game in the heat. Then, after trimming the lawn and whacking the weeds in the heat, give your beach balls a boost and use Crop Reviver. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0. Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comfort and boxers to another level. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped.